Ladies and gentlemen, esteemed guests, and fellow industry professionals, a very good afternoon. I'm Shraddha Shrestha from Nepal Tourism Board, presently heading the digital marketing unit. I've been with the tourism board from the past 19 years. And you can say I grew with the Nepalese tourism industry. I've seen the highs and the lows of the industry, so the whole tourism industry is very dear to me. And I'm so honored to moderate this session today. Welcome to our panel session on the shift from product to experiences, especially focusing the tourism industry. Today we'll explore the evolving landscape of tourism and discuss the importance of transitioning from a product-centric approach to experience-centric approach. We all know that in the traditional model of tourism, the focus has always been in promoting and selling specific products like hotels and flights and tour packages. These are still very important, but the travelers today have changed. Their perceptions have changed, and especially post-COVID, people don't go for sightseeing, but more like sight feeling and sight experiencing. So they crave for more meaningful experiences that go beyond the tangible offerings. So during this panel sessions, we will delve into the various facets of the shift and explore its implications and impacts in the tourism industry. Our esteemed panelists, who are young entrepreneurs, leaders, and experts in their respective fields, will share their insights, experiences, and best practices in creating such experiential, experiences. We'll also try to discuss strategies for designing and delivering immersive and personalized experiences that caters to today's travelers and according to the new normal. Ladies and gentlemen, this panel will be for 50 minutes. All panelists will be asked 3 questions each, and the answer time will be 3 minutes for every answer. We'll be taking some questions from the floor and a short wrap-up. So with this note, I would like to go directly with the panel, ask them to introduce very briefly yourselves, and also a 2-liner on how you connect to today's topic. I start with Amigo Ji.
Thank you for this wonderful opportunity. And in case you were wondering, Amigo is my real name, although I don't speak any Spanish, and I was born and raised here. So I am a co-founder of Nepal Tea Collective. It's a social enterprise. It's registered as a public benefits corporation in the US, and it's also registered in Nepal. So we sell amazing Nepali teas, the fine orthodox loose leaf teas, in the global markets. Our company is primarily based in New York. But through that, we sell our teas to all over the world. And the reason we exist is not just to sell teas, but essentially to sell all the experiences around teas, right? And so some of the things that we do is tea classes, tea tastings, and the thing that I'm here to talk about particularly is tea tourism. So we do a lot of tea tourism that we have recently started, although we are not from tourism sector. But our recent experiments in the tea tour field is what I'm here to share about today. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am Dinam Lamichane, and I have been working in inbound travel industry from 2013. And I have been closely observing the changes, the way people travel, they look for travel, and also the reason they travel. So today's topic, I'll discuss more in the next topic. So today we are, in today's topic, it's very relevant to me being a tour operator and destination expert. From the shift from product to experience is very essential, and it relates to me very well. I'll stop here and then take it forward later.
Namaskar, everyone. I am Jahnavi Prasad. I come from the northern Indian state of Uttarakhand. I was raised in the Kumaon Hills. My childhood was up in the foothills of the Himalayas, and a small town called Nainital, which is part of the Lake District of Kumaon. That's where I come from. Today, I am in front of you as a hospitality generalist who is running a homestay called Abbotsford Estate. It's a boutique heritage homestay. It's a 150-year-old family property that has been converted into a homestay. My endeavor really in the last decade and a half is really to make Abbotsford Estate an ecosystem in itself, which is very value-driven, which is very sustainable, keeping in mind the region's art, culture, literature, the culinary side of things, and especially now the environment and how we can preserve our habitat. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Sanjay Chogyal. My background is in hotel development, specializing in experience-focused luxury properties in very remote and unusual destinations, very much creating luxury destinations. I've had the pleasure of working with the likes of Aman Resorts in Bhutan, and most recently setting up Shintamani in Cambodia, and leading Six Senses Resorts entry into India during the pandemic. And I'm currently the principal of Advent Labs, which is a multidisciplinary advisory firm that specializes in designing and delivering solutions to the luxury hospitality industry. And we work across from sort of brand concept development through pre-opening, positioning, launching, as well as the ongoing sort of distribution and marketing of it. Thank you.
Thank you, panelists. You know, the shift from product to experience in tourism is driven by like multiple factors, you know, be it like changing consumers' preferences, you know, advancement in technology, or maybe increased competition within the destinations. So I would like to state, you know, like first when I joined Nepal Tourism Board, like 19 years ago, we had this Nepal's brand slogan called Mount Everest and more. And in between, we changed it to naturally Nepal once is not enough. And in 2020, when we launched the Visit Nepal 2020, which never happened, unfortunately, we were Nepal Lifetime Experiences. So the shift, I could say like, it was from a product. We were first highlighting Mount Everest, then we came to Natural Nepal, a theme-based approach, and then a holistic lifetime experiences. That's the shift I saw in these 19 years. So I would like to ask my panel, how have you seen the shift from product to experience in your respective fields, and how or has it contributed to the overall well-being and satisfaction of the travelers?
Perfect. I think that's a great question, and my experience and my perspectives here will be slightly different as I come from an actual product business to creating an experience around it, right? So when we entered into tea business, the reason was, going off the theme of today's forum as well, connectivity, right? We believe that Nepal produces some amazing teas, but it's just that access to market and the branding and marketing know-how is what's limiting us. So we tried to create a platform so we could directly connect farmers and producers with global audiences through their stories and the stories behind the teas. So that's how we started, but we didn't want to fight for retail shelf. We didn't want to play into the battle of just capturing value, but rather creating additional value for our consumer base. And through that, we started creating experiences. That is part one of how we shifted from product to experience. Part two is, if you notice a global trend also, the consumer mindset is shifting from product to experience, right? Like for example, if you go to Italy, you're not just going to eat pasta, but you'll try to see how the pasta is made. Or if you go to France, you're not just going to drink wine, but you want to visit some vineyards. Similarly, Switzerland and chocolates, right? So that shift is happening. And in some of the tea-producing countries, like you go to Darjeeling and you see photos in the tea gardens. You go to Sri Lanka and see photos in the tea garden. So that was another part that encouraged us to go more towards the experience. And the third, most of the consumers that we deal with, right? Some of them are businesses that have been in the tea business in the West. But even they have not necessarily touched tea leaves. Even they have not seen how tea is made because tea is not grown in their part, right? So that was one. And the tea enthusiasts and the tea lovers, for them to be in that Zen moment in the tea garden and drinking tea and making tea was a very lucrative opportunity for us as a enterprise. So that's how we shifted. And what better way for us to educate people about Nepali tea rather than bringing them over here, experiencing how a tea is made, encouraging them to make their own tea, and then they finally start appreciating the value and the labor that goes behind plucking those teas and processing those teas. And those experiences, those immersive experiences, is what they will always hold dear to them, and that's what they're going to use to spread the word out there when they go back to their countries as well. So that's the trend that we've noticed, and that's how we've shifted from more of a product business to also a experience business as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Amigo. These days, people are looking for more from their travel than just a relaxing vacation. That's what I've noticed over the period of time. It's not a long period of time, but from the time when I joined, we were still selling conventional sightseeing tours packaged with very comfortable hotel stays, and that was it. But we saw the change in demand. Also, we thought that, we have to think more in terms of our offerings. It needs to go deeper than the surface. So then that's when we decided to have our internal committee, a division kind of thing called Destination Knowledge Center in 2009. So this Destination Knowledge Center, we actually came together to enhance our collaborative knowledge about our destination. We needed to give our travelers better experience. We needed to go a little deeper to curate experiences, what we actually grew up experiencing. We needed to take them to lesser known places than the most visited sites. So that's when the Destination Knowledge Center came into place in Sita, in all its locations, Nepal, Bhutan, and Sri Lanka, and India, and in their sub-destinations. So from 2009 till now, we have curated more than 100 products in each destinations. And these these experiences are being tested and thoroughly explored by a team of explorers, and also people who are on the desk before our traveler experience them. So basically what we've realized, Shraddha, over a period of time is that the shift from product to experience, a traveler is looking for something more than the tours. They are looking to get closer to our community. They are looking to get closer to the people of the place they travel, and also that enable us to bring them little closer to our community, and also the communities can share the benefit from the tourism industry. It can go to the people directly. So that is how it is kind of fulfilling to the traveler and also people who are involved in the industry, that we are contributing to the sustainability of these cultures and community that we talk about. Thank you.
My journey from product to experience has been a long one, really. And it started in 2007 with me reading a book called My Experiments with Truth. It's Mahatma Gandhi's autobiography. It's a very tedious piece of writing. And I was quite influenced by it. And I thought that Gandhi's autobiography must reach as many people as possible, especially the youth of the country or the world. And so I set about writing a graphic novel format adapted from the autobiography. What really sort of took my mind and heart and soul was, here was a simple man who, through sheer grit of simplicity, altruism, leadership skills, being connected to the roots, truth, non-violence, these major tools that he used really to harness the community around him, the entire nation around him, and he literally walked his way to freedom with those values intact, and he never compromised. So a bit of that, or I would say a major part of those few tenets of Gandhi sort of remained with me. And I left my job as a journalist and a broadcaster. I was with the Pioneer and Asian News International. And I decided to go back to my roots, which was in Nainital, and take hold of my property and turn it around on the values of Gandhi. But on the modern values of Gandhi, in the modern context, really. So Abbotsford really for me has been a place where I can sort of chart out my sustainable way of living and share it with the guests who come and stay there. And the first thing that I incorporated was, again inspired from Gandhi, was curating our signature walks. I curated about 4 or 5 walks around the region where one could go and see the heritage of the region in terms of temples and churches, old buildings, a cemetery walk where people can go down to 4 or 5 cemeteries in Nainital and look at their tombstones and read about the World War veterans who are buried there, some prisoners on parole, some teachers, priests. The tombstones are very interesting, and the cemeteries are all in the heart of the forest under the deodar trees. A culinary walk where we get our guests to eat a lovely Kumaoni thali over dinner, and next morning we trot down to the market and meet the local farmers in the farmers market, touch, feel, sense the produce, go to the grocers, check out the spices, the pulses, the grains, and just to give you a feel of the region and where we are coming from. To get the mountain sort of culture into the minds of the people. We also have immersive forest walks that we do, a lot of forest trails with beautiful Himalayan views. One of the key elements that we show our customers is birding life and wildlife. We have about 500 species of birds where Abbotsford is situated. So people from all walks of life, when they come into our fold, they leave as friends of Abbotsford because we share with them emotions, our stories, our childhood memories, which are in our food stories. We sit around a bonfire, we get to know each other. We build a sort of a network which is long-lasting, really. The other thing that we really do is we engage the local communities as well, because ultimately it's all about supply and demand. It's a chain. We are all connected by a simple chain. So if you see products that we put out on our dining tables, the jams, the pickles, etc., the chutneys and all, are all sourced by local NGOs. We source it from them. I could tomorrow set up my own bakery. I could set up my own spice unit. But I rather prefer going down into the local communities and sourcing it for them, because that's how we all will thrive through each other, really. So, yeah, here are a few experiences. And Abbotsford really, for me, is a way of life. We try to sort of showcase a blend of the old and the modern and the local, how they are fused together in a beautiful terrain. And that's how I managed to keep the area alive, the area preserved, conserved. Sometimes we ask our guests if they're going on a walk, we give them a garbage bag, and there's so much litter around in the mountain trails, and we become the waste warriors for that time period. So really, these are the various sort of experiences that we try to ingrain in each other and learn from each other. Thank you.
Thank you very much. It's lovely hearing actually all 3 of your examples, because I do a lot of work working with owners and operators, trying to understand what is experiential travel, and it's lovely to hear such great examples, because it's one of the biggest questions. You asked the question of how have you seen this shift. You can just go to any hotel website these days, and I'd be surprised if you don't find the word experiential travel in there somewhere. But the truth of the matter is, everyone, I think, is still trying to figure out what does that actually mean, and what is it, and how do we deliver that. It's a bit like greenwashing. I believe there's a lot of experiential washing. And so, lovely to hear your examples. I'm not going to kind of bore with more, but I think to really understand what these experiences are you have to kind of ask yourself why this shift is happening. Like, why are people yearning to find more authentic experiences that are more transformative and create more connection and authenticity with the place? And I think to ask yourself why, and to think about the global rise of urbanization and how actually, the previous panel was talking about connectivity and actual digital connectivity. Like, we live in a world that is more connected than ever. However, I think socially, especially in urban areas, there's a lot of disconnection and breakdown of social, let's say, family connections, community connections, cultural connections. And so I think that the modern day traveler, the traveler who is maybe experiencing or is part of this epidemic of loneliness in some places, is yearning or looking for authenticity, looking for connection, looking for an experience that will give them that sense of community or that sense of growing or sense of place and passion. Yeah, I don't have the answers to it, but I think it's a great place to start asking yourselves those questions and how can these experiences serve and perform to that traveler.
So I think I truly agree on the travelers today becoming more responsible, because we also feel that when we are going abroad and promoting, they are very conscious about each of their dollars they spend. So they ask like what the community is getting back. So I think this is the shift we can see from the traveler's point of view too. There are words like emotions, personalization, customization, immersiveness, sensory experiences. I think these are very hyped and much used in all the fields, especially in the tourism sector these days. And these expressions are used to build up stories. And of course, the real-time stories are very impactful in creating, long-term memories. So my next question to all of you, once again, is, could you share your personal, success story related to today's topic? And it would be nice if you could include a specific, challenge or specific details about what you faced, what strategies you implemented, and what were the outcomes you've achieved.
Perfect. Thank you so much. And I think I'll quickly share like what our immersive tours generally look like and blend in the success stories as well as the challenges we've been facing, right? So with our tea tours, how it's a 10-day package, how it works is first, the guests come to Kathmandu and they do the regular Darbar squares and all that, and then the healing, singing bowl healing exercise. And then how the immersiveness is integrated is that the first day they come to my house, they learn how to make momo from my parents, right? So they are not just eating momos again, they're actually making momo. That's how they start. And then we have a few days in Kathmandu, and then we go eastward to Ilam, which is also called the tea capital of Nepal. There they visit lots of tea gardens and hear authentic stories of the farmers and the producers. And there, again, they're housed in a home of Kedar uncle and Kiran auntie. They've dedicated their life to experiment and learn more about authentic Nepali cuisines, right? So they teach us how to make dhakkani, they teach us how to make tea smoked chicken, and so everything is actually immersive where they cook themselves, right? And then they go to Fidim Patsthar, where one of our family farms and factory is also there. They actually immerse in plucking those tea leaves, bringing all those tea leaves back to the factory in that doko. They actually do the entire processing of withering, rolling, drying, and then the tea master at the end of it conducts like a blind tea tasting ceremony, like who won actually in this tea tasting process, right? So that's how what the experience is and the structured part of the program is. But the beauty lies in the unstructured part of the entire tour, right? For example, there was a guest who is a chef from Napa Valley. She used to use tea in her ingredients, but she had never touched tea. That's why she was here. And there was a beautiful moment where the chef from Napa Valley and our Puspa Didi, who is the cook in our factory, they were bonding very strongly. They were bonding over making a roti. They don't speak the same language. They don't look similar. They don't dress similar. But their love for tea and food is very similar. And that passion and that connection is what keeps bringing the chef back to Nepal as well, right? And so these kind of authentic experiences. And another example is that there will be kids around in the factory who randomly come and make everyone dance so that they could shoot some TikTok videos, right? These are all unstructured, random things that really happens. And I think there's something about what I call the Himalayan embrace, which is like once you come here, at the first few days, you're very awkward. You're trying to figure out what this place is all about. But once you've actually experienced and immersed the Himalayan touch, I think the hearts really melt and then people build a long connection. And some of the interesting observations that we've had is that we've built a deeper connection with all of our customers who came here, right? So, and they actually buy more teas from us, they spread the word for us, and those kind of connections have been very helpful. And of course, there are challenges. So initially, when people sign up for these tours, they're very scared because they need structure. They're coming to a random place like Nepal, they don't know what's gonna happen, they need everything detailed out. But it's very difficult initially to translate that the beauty is in the unstructured part and to make them realize that. So we generally say that my co-founder Nishal, who mostly leads these trips, says think of it like going on an immersive random road trip or a camping with your friends. There could be a lot of ad hoc things that happens along the way, but eventually trust the process, you will actually start enjoying that, right? So when they're on their way towards east, every time a truck passes by in the highway, they're very scared. But on their way back to Kathmandu after the trip, they're like, come on, there's like 2 inches left, you can still make it. Like, so they actually learn all these experiences, and the connections that we make is actually deeper, and those are the success. But every time we promote it, how do we ensure that the trip is safe, the trip is very standard from what they have seen somewhere else, is always a difficult part, and that's why we mostly rely on our personal connections and talking with our customers as the early adopters for these kind of immersive trips. Thank you.
Thank you. When talking about success story, I told you the story about curating experiences for Sita. And in Sita, when we curated these experiences, there was kind of resistance from the field team to execute these stories. I'll start with the challenges, then I'll move to the success stories. And in the initial phase, it was a very difficult task for us to convince our trip leaders or guides to go from conventional sightseeing mode to actually the storytelling and immersive experience offering modes. So that was the challenge. And over the period of time, now they are very comfortably executing these experiences, articulating it in terms of the expectations of our client, and also making it relevant to them. One story, very simple but very interesting story would be everyone, whoever comes to Kathmandu, a traveler, definitely is taken to Bhaktapur, definitely done the sightseeing tours, and definitely has been to the Pottery Square. And if you ask, if they've been to Pottery Square and they didn't do anything, then it's very touristic. So we thought we'll take it a little deeper. Then we started showing them the pottery they make, how it is used in households on day-to-day basis by Nepalese people, and how the age-old tradition is still passed on from generations to generations. It became more interesting for them. That very small component of a Bhaktapur visit. Then we took it a little further, and then we took them to a house in Thimi, which is a colonel's house, and it's very uniquely positioned in Thimi itself. And then we actually make them participate in chatamari making in the that pottery that they saw in Bhaktapur, the Darbar Square. Then it made sense to them, it became very relevant, and we had to structure it. Like Amigo said, that we cannot just, being in mainstream tourism industry, we cannot have unstructured itineraries or travel plan and tell them to come and then we will take you, your satisfaction is guaranteed in terms of what you want to achieve from your trip. But we structured it. Within those structure, we created those small experiences, which is definitely a great story, which was a factor of resistance from the mainstream guides who execute those stories. And now it is perceived well. So that is how the success and challenges are there for the mainstream tourism industry and travel company these days. Thank you.
So with coming back to Abbotsford again, Abbotsford Estate again, I didn't want the ecosystem just to be a lodging space, and that's why I created these experiences around it. One particular experience which is close to my heart, which still exists, it's a property that I created with my interest in literature, was a literature festival called Himalayan Echoes. Kumaon Festival of Literature and Arts. This festival, the backbone of this festival was created with me starting a small Nainital book club, which had about 10 to 20 attendees in a period of 1 year. And everybody sort of came out from their hobbits and indulged in once a month activity of reading and giving comments on their books and their critiques. These very people sort of were the backbone of Himalayan Echoes, and they were as attendees, they were as team members, and that's how the Himalayan Echoes Literature Festival came into place. It's been 8 years, and from an audience of 50 people, today we have 300 plus audiences on a physical plane. Post-COVID, I had to go digital, and 2 years we sadly had to have the sessions digitally, which really don't have that same interpersonal relationship that we are going to be having and we are having right now. But the numbers, yes, I have to admit, did increase. From 300, they went to 1,000 viewers, which is wonderful for a boutique festival from the Himalayas like us. So every year, 20, 25 speakers from across the world, from the Himalayan terrain, from people like Dr. Lobsang Sangye, Nasruddin Shah, we had Shobha Dey, Stephen Alter, Pushpesh Pant, so Manisha Koirala. So we've had good speakers come, but the draw really is to have these prominent speakers and around them cull out local talent of literature, art, culture, music, and food. So in the past 8 years, I have to admit that we have been able to take knowledge and give knowledge back, create networks for people to carry about with whatever interests them in these fields from the Himalayan region. Thank you.
Thank you for your question, and happy to share I don't know if it's a success story, but a story about a shift from product to experience, or my journey through that in opening the Six Senses in India. Six Senses Hotels and Resorts is a international brand that is very much steadfastly positioned themselves as leaders in sustainability and experiences in the luxury resort market. And their products, if you know them, are very much like muted colors, natural materials, not rooms like these, no chandeliers, and something very different from the traditional Indian perception of luxury in the larger scale when looking at the likes of Oberoi and Taj, etc. We were tasked with building and opening the most high-end property in India, or in the subcontinent, and that journey of trying to explain and convince not only the owner and other stakeholders that actually capital investments should go into sustainable infrastructure, into the community at large, bringing in the outside, and I don't know if you guys know a small village called Barwara in about 45 minutes outside of Sawai Madhopur in Rajasthan, but I wouldn't be surprised if no one's heard of it. It's a very rural village that was in a very large state of disrepair, and it was about investing in the community and helping to clean up and also create industry and infrastructure, and to bring that community within the hotel, which was a bit of a shock when first presenting that to the stakeholders. It wasn't something that had been done on that kind of in their minds in that area. So it took us, better part of a year and a half to help explain this. We brought in other international consultants. We brought in international designers. We asked them not to invest in chandeliers and really reduce the amount of marble and actually work with local artisans and bring in artists from around Rajasthan and further parts of India and actually create artist residences. That process was very much an educational process, but also a hand-holding process of how to take a product, anyone can throw a lot of money at making a very shiny and flashy room, and actually taking that away and creating the luxury around the visitors or the travelers' time there and space there, and that their authentic connections with the village and with the community at large and learning about the artisans was far more valuable than the marble imported from Italy. And that was a interesting journey. Like I said, I don't know if it was totally successful, but that's yet to be seen. But ultimately, I think Fort Barwara had the highest average daily rate in India and didn't have a single chandelier. So for me, that was a bit of a success.
Interesting. I can see we have 14 minutes left now, but I still have one more question for all of you. So, Amigo, you've introduced tea culture and trying to connect the tea culture activities to Nepalese tourism. So, you work as a mediator between the demand and the supply side, right? So, on the client side, I would like to know, on the client side, how do you leverage technology to potentially attract a larger crowd? And on the farmer or the producer side, how has such initiatives, have impacted the tea communities at large? In 2 minutes, please.
Perfect. On the client side, we definitely use a lot of social media, email marketing, and all the other content tools that we can use out there. So this day and age, for any company to not be a media company is very difficult. You need that content curation on a relentless basis. So because our trips themselves are very immersive, the content that we capture from those trips are very appealing in general. So we use that to educate people about these tours. And we have a host of, from search engine optimization to all these other tools, we use that. And that's how we generally attract clients. But we know that these are very immersive, very niche, and a very premium ticket item. So it's not an automated technological solution where people just find us and book the event, right? There's a lot of curation that goes behind it. So we generally sit on a call with our clients and try to curate it based on what they want. And on the farmer side, that's the thing that we're mostly excited about because the impact has been amazing, right? So imagine most of the Nepali tea farmers and tea producers, they've been producing teas. We export a lot of teas actually, but 96.4% of all our export goes to India. So many of these tea producers and the tea farmers have been in the field for 20 years, 30 years, but they've never seen who actually consumes their teas. And bringing all these tea lovers and tea enthusiasts back to their community, trying to learn from them how they actually make teas, trying to appreciate their art of making teas is what actually increases the dignity of those farmers and those producers who have been in this industry, right? And in most of the rural parts of Nepal right now, you can see that there isn't many youth left in those areas. A lot of people have gone to the Gulf countries for job opportunities or elsewhere for studies. And now when tourists are actually coming back to their communities and appreciating what they have, it gives a reason for the younger generation to also get into this business of tea, tourism, and other experiences around it because now they feel like they're very much cherished. And that this impact portion is what keeps us going, actually. Thank you.
Dinam, I want to come back to the storytelling and the narratives. Let's keep it very short. Have you faced any limitations or challenges using the narratives only?
Storytelling, we have to see storytelling and narratives in two aspects. One, when you are promoting your destination, that is one form of storytelling. And another form of storytelling is when your travelers are already in the destination, how you articulate those stories through your field team, or every touch point that are related to that travel. So first, when you are taking your product or experiences in the market, you have to have the right storytelling. This is where we are lacking, because it's not only the job of Sita Travel or Destination Knowledge Center or some of the experts. It has to come from the stakeholders, other tourism stakeholders also. We are hopeful that Nepal Tourism Board comes to aid in terms of storytelling to promote Nepal in the global market. And we also need to do a lot of work in terms of storytelling and execution of those storytelling when a traveler is here in the destination. It cannot be promising something and delivering something. So we have to really work on the resources, the touch points to deliver those stories and to tell the stories in the field. So that's what I feel.
Thank you. Janvi, we know that you've been working with the international communities as well, parallelly, also working with smaller or smaller communities and niche segments in hospitality, and also I went through your bio and you've been advocating for sustainable and community empowerment, right? So, what is the main challenge for destinations like India and Nepal, Bhutan, Bangladesh, small destinations like us, to cope up with the ever-changing trends in the tourism?
I think my observation post-COVID has been that people have come out with an aggression towards tourism. Everybody wants to travel. So the pressure I felt in my part of the world, everybody wants to buy a piece of property and turn it around into a hotel or a homestay or a private home. Now, that also has a major impact on the carbon footprint that we all create, really. So it's a chicken and an egg story at the end of the day, really. For me, if I really give you a bird's eye view, for me, what are the challenges? The carrying capacity of all the hotels needs to be in check. The number of rooms that all hotels, 50, 60 rooms up in the Himalayan region doesn't make sense at all. It should be, quality over quantity. I think most of our hill stations should be walkable destinations. It cuts down the pollution, it cuts down the traffic. It's healthier, it's safer. I think it's very interesting to just stroll and stride in a beautiful hill station like old times and just forget your worries, where to park your car, and all those kind of things that come with it. And the other thing is this climate change issue, which we've discussed in the past 2 sessions and in future sessions also. I forgot to mention my last festival, Himalayan Echoes, was after COVID. I decided to do a physical festival. It takes 3 months of my time, Suji would know, to create this universe of getting the authors, sponsors, hotels, transport, local community, setups and all that into place. And a week before my festival, the weather god decided to tell us that it's going to be a wash over, unprecedented rain in the Kumau Hills. And there it was, a shock. So climate change really is there. And I really don't know what the answer to it is. All I can do is, where I stand, I can make small changes and keep on working. Rest is really, it's a larger story which the government, the policy makers and all really need to sort of hold our hand and take us forward, and which will take time. But the process, as Professor Lama said, has to carry on someday, someplace, sometime. Thank you.
Exactly. My last question to Sanjay ji. Actually, I've been waiting to. I've been really waiting to ask this. The one question, I think, which haunts every person in the tourism industry, especially people like me who's working for the government and upfront promoting Nepal. That question is, we are always debating, what should Nepal focus on, quality or quantity? So considering so much of investment, especially during the 2020 year, be it high, medium, or low level, so are we in the state, as a tourism entrepreneur, as a tourism industry, to choose over class or mass? And my last question is, Sanjit, since you're associated with luxury products around the world, and also the luxury segments like the Dushits and the Kavyas and the Chintamanis coming in Nepal, what strategies you would, tell us to follow to penetrate in the luxury market? I'm sorry, this is a long one, but an important one, I guess.
Thank you very much. Yeah, it's a complex question, and I think even within luxury, there's different segments, right? There's like the Chintamanis, and then there's the Dusits. They're two different products altogether, and they attract a different clientele. I think part of your question was, is Nepal ready for it? Is Nepal poised for the experiential luxury market? Absolutely. It was already here. In the 80s and the 90s, we had Ringo Starr coming to holiday in Nepal. This is a luxury destination for experiences. I think that can be recouped and recovered. I mean, we look at the properties like the Happy House, you look at Chintamani, you look at Tiger Mountain. They are, in a very short period of time in the international press, creating a huge stir. I think Time magazine has named Mustang top 50 places on Earth this year. National Geographic, same thing. I don't think it's a question of, is Nepal ready? I think Nepal is definitely ready. There was the question, the point of chicken and the egg is also very true. We need the products and the infrastructure to support luxury tourism, luxury travel. People are willing to spend these large amounts of money to come and see the authenticity of beautiful remote parts of Nepal. But we need to make it easy for them to get there and access it and not have risks of being stranded or moved away. Look at our neighbor Bhutan. They've done a very good job at positioning themselves as a aspirational destination in the world. Their high-value, low-volume model is extremely successful, and hats off to what they've done there. I don't think we can expect a country to change its policy on a national level straight away, but we can look regionally, and you can look at giving concessions and reducing the number of rooms and in certain areas to elevate rates, elevate the experience, because luxury is space, luxury is time. If you saturate the market with far too many rooms, all you're doing is cannibalizing from each other, and then it's a race to the bottom. I think Nepal is very much ready and can support local owners to have the confidence to invest in these areas. And also, as you see in Bhutan, there's amazing brands that have come in, right? It's the Bhutanese people and His Majesty have been a large part of leading that drive, but that's also with the support and locked hands of the likes of Aman Resorts, Como, Six Senses now. And I think Chintamani is great that it's here, but I think more incentives and ease for these foreign operators to come and work with local partners and local owners will very much help springboard Nepal as a luxury destination and balance out that value over volume. I think there are ways to create regions that can support both.
I think that's the most tricky part, to balance out the quantity over the quality thing, because we cannot ignore the small entrepreneurs as well. We still have 2 minutes left. If we can take any questions from the floor.
Sorry, I forgot one really integral part to that as well. It's not when providing concessions and providing these incentives for owners and operators to create luxury destinations within Nepal. It's very, very key simultaneously to ensure that it's not an individual making all the money off that. That the flow through of the revenue has to be a win-win for the owner, the operator, but also the local communities, the government, the national parks, that place. It needs to be across the board a win-win, otherwise it's definitely not sustainable.
Yeah.
I'm Bhupender Shrestha. So earlier I used to be into travel business, but now I'm heading the digital sales for HI, Himalayan Adverse Insurance. So it always used to be a crazy idea for me, and I always used to think, is it possible in the tourism industry or not? So during the COVID time, we had a crazy time. So with all this crazy time we were coming up with a lot of crazy ideas. So I just wanted to ask, anyone can give that answer. I wanted to see your mindset, like, is it possible or not in tourism? So I just wanted to, because everything is getting digitized, and especially with the next generation coming up with the mobile in their hands and so impatient. So is there a scope for a virtual tour? And how is going to impact, if yes, then how is going to impact the physical tours? Because I know, like with the next generation coming up with the digitization and online everything. So do you think is there a scope for a virtual tour in the days to
Virtual
come?
tour.
Thank you.
Thank you for the question. I don't think a virtual tour will ever replace going on a trek or I think I always like to say great experiences are ones that take you slightly outside of your comfort zone, not to make you uncomfortable, but enough to heighten your senses, so your sense of smell, hearing, taste, etc. is played with. You want to play with those senses, and that is what creates core memories. And ultimately, we all travel to create memories. I think that there is definitely space for VR in the tourism industry, and VR will be a big part of the tourism industry, especially in marketing and sales. And I believe that there'll also be, who knows, creative like holidays where you go into a VR headset, but it will be something that is maybe outside of this planet. I don't think you'll be replacing places on Earth through VR. Is my personal opinion.
Actually, we we don't have any time. I thought our answers would be short and we would be able to take many questions from the floor, but yes, I think we did a good job. I think my panelists, a strong, applause for the panelists. And thank you so much, Sujeev Dai, for this session.